Hello my hungry friends! Today we're making chicken pate, PASZTET. Welcome back friends, this is Anna and this is my Polish kitchen. And today come and hang out with me and you don't even have to do anything. You can just watch me cook. I'm making PASZTET, which is liver paste. And I'm using all the meat and all the veggies that we would normally use to make chicken soup, Polish rosół. And it's super easy, and as you know, Poland depends on sustainability just as a natural thing in Polish cooking, and we try to stretch our ingredients as far as possible. So if you have a big pot of rosół, like I do, chicken soup, and if you make it every day, and if you don't like to eat the boiled meat as part of dinner or whatever, you can turn it into PASZTET and then use it for sandwiches to eat at lunch or at breakfast. So here we go. I have my chicken soup and meat in the stock pot in the back, which we're going to get to in a minute. But first we're going to start with our liver. You can use pork or chicken liver. I'm using chicken just because I like the flavor of chicken liver better. It's a little bit milder and it seems to be easier to procure. So normally, I know in the States, when we lived in America with my family, I would normally get chicken livers in the freezer section. In the frozen meat section, it comes in little plastic containers, and they're normally, I think, 1 pound packages. So I have about a pound of liver, and if you defrost it, they'll come in little pieces like this. And if you're picky, which I don't think I'm going to be today because this is all going to be ground up, you could go in and cut away all these little white kind of sinews, which I would cut away if we were cooking liver for just eating a dinner as whole. But since this is all going to get ground up, I'm not even going to bother. So there's that. I'm going to heat my pan here. We're going to cook this, and then we're going to take our chicken from rosół off the bone, and we're going to grind everything together. So for the liver part, I'm not putting anything on it. I'm not putting salt and pepper on it. I just want to make sure this is cooked. And if you've ever cooked liver before, which I think it's delicious with a bunch of onions and apples, and I have a recipe for that at PolishYourKitchen.com as well, as I do for this recipe. You will know that liver, when it cooks, likes to explode a lot. So make sure you have a cover for your pot. And if you go to PolishYourKitchen.com and look at this recipe, and I'm also posting a link to this one in the video description, so it's easy for you to find. But if you look at, I have 2 recipes for liver paste for PASZTET, and it's quite different from house to house or from house chef to house chef, because you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. But the main idea is meat and liver, and then whatever else you put into it is kind of up to you. You can add cranberries to it if you want. You can add walnuts, you can add raisins, mushrooms. The first recipe, or today's recipe, is the simple basic recipe for PASZTET, just to give you an idea what the process is. And if you make it once or twice, then you can decide what you want to put in it or how you like yours. You know, maybe with mushrooms, or maybe kind of go with the sweeter side with a bunch of cranberries. And so just kind of try this and see what works for you. So I'm just dumping my liver into here, and I did wash mine, so it does have a little bit of moisture. And I put a little bit of oil on the bottom, just because it's really dry meat. It doesn't have any fat in it, but it's really good for you. It's got a bunch of iron and potassium, I believe, right?
Okay.
So I'm just gonna crack this a little bit because I don't want a bunch of moisture kind of condensing on the bottom, and we're just gonna let it cook. Give your liver about 10-15 minutes, and this is when it starts to pop, when it gets nice and brown. So I'm gonna move my liver onto my dish over here, and we're gonna continue with cooking the rest of our ingredients. I have a couple of onions. I'm looking at this, my mouth's watering, and this may be kind of weird for people who aren't used to eating livers, but they smell pretty good and they taste delicious as well. While this was cooking and now it's cooling, I'm gonna add just a little bit more oil, and I've cut up 2 onions. I'm gonna add to my pan, and this is gonna be added to our PASZTET mixture, our PATE mixture. So I'm just gonna turn the heat down on it and give it a stir to get the oil kind of everywhere. And this can slowly cook on the side here. And then I'm gonna take my rosu pot and I'm gonna try to fish out all of our meat. So if you've cooked your rosu with the whole chicken, you'll just pull it out. I cooked my rosu yesterday, so it kind of was jellified. Is that the right word?
Sure, that is a word.
And so I had to heat it up just a little bit to make it liquid again, so I could get the chicken out. And I cooked mine with chicken legs, and I have a bunch of veggies in here, and we're gonna be using all of this in our PASZTET. And I know I get a lot of questions from our readers and viewers about what to do with the veggies from rosu. And this is one of your answers. I also have some turkey parts in here. I think there was a turkey neck and just a bunch of different poultry meats that flavored my broth greatly. And I think there's oh, my mouth's watering. There's a big turkey wing as well here, I see. So now we have to drain this a little bit and make it just a little bit cooler so we can handle it, but I think I'm gonna put gloves on just so I'm not all covered. And this is a good time to put one of your aprons on, which I'm not wearing today.
If you're not, what aprons? You mean at the merch store?
You go to PolishYourKitchen.com, and at the top menu, we've created a merch store. It kind of sells some of some fun merchandise, t-shirts and aprons and even kids onesies and stuff. And the merch store is just to help us fund our channel a little bit. We get about $3 to $5 on every purchase. So it's not huge, but it helps, and we try to keep it fun and have some fun designs in there. So if you want to take a look, go ahead. And if you want to buy something, we appreciate it. I'm going to let these onions go just a little bit longer. They are brown because the liver kind of gave them that color. We want to get a little bit of caramelization on them, so I'm going to let them go just a little bit longer. I'm going to move my pot to the back, and I'm going to get a garbage bowl. Oh, there was garlic in here. Onions are nice and toasty brown. I'm going to turn them off and set them aside and grab a towel before I burn myself, so they can just cool over here on the side. And I have my meat taken off the bone, and veggies are in here as well. So now all I have to do is put my KitchenAid grinder attachment to work. So let me just switch. Switched. I have my attachment for my KitchenAid, the grinding attachment, and you just attach it to the front. And I'm going to use the smallest grinding plate. So the worm is going to go in first, also known as swirly. And then the cutting blade goes in, and then the, what did I call it?
The small thing.
Yep. This holds everything together, and that's it, right?
Huh?
And I'm also, this has, as mentioned, this was cooked in to make rosu, to make chicken soup. So there's already some salt in it, and so you're gonna have to kind of judge and adjust the spices to when this is done. But I know for sure that I didn't put any garlic in it, and I do want to have some garlic in my PASZTET. So I've peeled a bunch of garlic cloves. I have this many. You can do less or more. If you don't like garlic, you can skip this step as well. But I'm gonna put it through the grinder as well. You have a question?
How many garlic cloves is this many?
This many is for 8.
8.
4 really big ones and 4 a little bit smaller ones. So.
And how much meat you reckon you got there?
Yeah, I have a pound of liver, and the meat doesn't really matter how much you add to it. It really just gauge by flavor. So you can start with a whole chicken or half a turkey if you have that much left over, and try that. I have a couple carrots in here, a couple of parsley roots or parsnips. If you can't get parsley root, and parsley root is the white part, the bottom part of green parsley leaf. And I have a celery or half a celery in here.
Root.
Celery root, yes. If you don't want to get celery root, you can saute some celery stalks as well and grind it all together. So it's a very versatile dish. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Just the method is that you have to grind or cook the meat and then grind it. I even put some beef into the stock just to give a little bit extra flavor, so that's in here as well. So just kind of do what you please, and that way you can't screw it up, because then you can always say that you meant to do that, right?
That's how I go through life.
So this is gonna make quite an amount of meat, and this all is just gonna be shoved in. I find little bones still. Maybe I didn't do such a great job, but this is gonna get put, and I even have the little peppercorns and allspice berries that I put into the soup. I'm gonna just put that through the grinder as well, because it's just extra flavor, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to find it while you're eating it. I know you love that when that happens. Wear an apron for this one. So I'm gonna grind all of this up, and I'll meet you back when I'm done. I have most of my meat and veggies ground up, but then I have to do a trick like grandma would, because that's important. What grandma does is important. So last thing to grind up for us is smoked bacon. And this is what I love about Europe. You can buy pieces of smoked bacon like this, whole, they're gorgeous, they smell delicious, and I missed bacon like this a lot. So this is about half a kilo, and I'm gonna cut there's a skin on the back here, so we don't wanna grind that up because it's too tough. Just cut that away. And we could probably use all of it. You can kind of judge on your own whether you wanna use a whole or not, but I'm just gonna give this I don't even have to go that small. I'm gonna slice this, and what bacon is gonna do to our PASZTET is gonna make it nice and moist and smoky, and it's gonna just give more flavor. So I would recommend adding this much.
Understand, PYK is not a health food channel.
Not a health food channel. So, and maybe one more in this, in 3 yet to fit into my hopper. And this is also a question that I get a lot. If you don't have the grinder attachment for a KitchenAid, you can do this in a food processor with a blade as well. So you would, but I would then cut your bacon into smaller pieces so it's kind of easier to grab and easier to blend, because you want it into kind of a pasty texture. So I'm gonna blend this, not blend, grind this. And then you may have noticed that I have one carrot left and one lonely liver. And this is because this is where the part where I said this is what grandma would do. So bacon is a lot more valuable than liver. So when I put or bread. So once I put the bacon in it, there's gonna be some bacon left in my in the auger. So we're gonna put a carrot and a liver through last, so it kind of pushes some of that valuable bacon out. Right. And last but not least, our carrot and our last piece of liver go in with little bits. Whoa. And voila, all the bacon's pushed out. I have this gorgeous bowl full of meat and veggies. And I have a little bit of that stock in here as well. I'm gonna add that here. And then I'm gonna take a little bit more of the stock and add it to my PASZTET. So that's about 2 cups. And you can kind of, again, see and judge. But the trick is, the more liquid you add, the kind of smoother your PASZTET's gonna be, thus more spreadable. And if you like that about your PASZTET, you can add a little bit more liquid if you want. And then once it bakes, instead of cutting slices to put on your bread, it will kind of smear better. And you can see little bits of carrot in there, the orange carrot, and you can see little bits of bacon. And this is when we're also gonna add our onion, our sauteed onion. And if you want it to go with the mushroom option as well, you can saute them with your onions and add them at this time. Oh, those smell good. And that's gonna get mixed in. I'm also gonna add some ground pepper. And I think I have some in here. What's your question?
So, you buy PASZTET here at the butcher shop. Do you think it's got all these vegetables in it, or do you think they go on mainly meat?
So if you buy PASZTET here, and it's called PASZTET na rosole, which means PASZTET made from chicken soup, made from rosół, it will most likely have all these wonderful vegetables that you use to make rosół. If you just buy regular PASZTET, it may have some onion and garlic in it, but I don't think it would have all those additional things. Now for spices, I like my PASZTET kind of peppery, so I'm gonna add probably a teaspoon, maybe 2. But you can you can judge on your own. And my meat was salted at cooking, so it may not need as much salt. But I also want to add some marjoram to mine, because I like the combination of the kind of livery flavor and onions and marjoram. So I'm gonna do, this is probably a tablespoon and a half, and I like to kind of rub it in between my hands to bloom it a little bit, to get the flavor out a little bit. Oh, this is fresh. No, it's not fresh. It's dried marjoram, but it's from freshly opened package, so it's nice and flavorful and aromatic, so I like that. And to bind everyone together, we're gonna add some eggs. And to this amount, I would probably add, I feel very everywhere today. I'm gonna add 3. And that's gonna kind of help keep everyone together. Now that it has raw eggs in it, not everyone will want to taste it. So maybe taste it before you put eggs in it. And my bacon was, so here in Poland, bacon comes in different forms, I guess. You can buy smoked raw bacon or smoked and it's called steamed, but it's just been cooked. So this is the steamed one. No salt needed. I'm just gonna give this, ooh, I can taste those onions. And see how loose my pate is. And I like it. I like it this way, again, because I like to be able to spread it on my bread. And this makes a lot of PASZTET, doesn't it?
That's a lot of PASZTET.
So what do you do with all this PASZTET now? What I normally do is, well, normally I buy it, but when we lived in the States, I couldn't buy this, obviously. But we eat all our PASZTET in my home. Our daughter likes PASZTET, so I buy a lot of it. But when I did make larger amounts of it like this, I would bake it in jars, about this size jars. Do you know what these are? Quart? Half quart?
Half quart,
yeah,
pint and quarter.
this size. And so we'll get to this. But I would bake them in smaller containers. You can do jars, or you can do little loaf pans. Those actually work really nice as well. And that way you can, once it's baked and cooled, you can put it in your freezer and freeze it. If you're doing it in jars, just don't put the lid on it before you freeze it. Freeze it, take it out, put the lid on, and put it back in the freezer. And they will keep in the freezer for a long time. And then when you're ready to eat, you just pull one out, and as we say in Herning household, Bob's your uncle. I don't know why we say that.
I got Uncle Bob.
Okay, let's get some containers. I opted for bread pans. Is this what you call them? Loaf pans.
It's like a loaf.
Yeah, loaf pans. I have 2 here, and I have 2 glass jars like this, because we have some guests coming, and I think it'll be nice to have it in a nicer decorative container. You can set this right on the table and share with your guests. And I also like these loaf pans because I can, then once it's cooked and cooled and I take it out, I slice it into thicker slices like this and freeze wrapped in plastic wrap. But again, this is a really good version if you're gonna eat it relatively quickly. You can start your oven at this time because this mixture has to bake yet. And we've set our oven to, what?
180 degrees centigrade.
There we go, 350. So I'm just filling these. And if you're ever, I hope you're putting Poland on your trip calendar already. And if you ever come to Poland, you can find a little mixtures like this or little appetizers at restaurants, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed?
I have.
And they're quite delicious.
A lot of times they have smallets too.
Smallets as well. I think I may have overfilled this a little bit. This is gonna raise up just tiny bit. So leave a little room at the top. And then second one. So these will bake like this. And now our big loaves. And I'm gonna just even these out a little bit. Like this, and I like to have paper sticking out so then I can pull them out. It's easier. And even these out. They already smell gorgeous. If you're watching this video all the way to the end, you must be really interested in PASZTET. PASZTET doesn't get a lot of traction from foreigners. So congratulations, you're now my biggest fan. Or biggest fan of Polish kitchen, Polish cooking. All right, in the oven they go. We want to cook them for an hour. So when we come back, we can taste them. Our PASZTET has been in the cooler, in the fridge, also known as, overnight. So it's completely chilled, and I've actually had to taste some. So I have one jar that I've already tasted a little bit out of, because I couldn't stop myself. But again, remember that when this cooks, it kind of expands a little bit, and don't fill it all the way to the top if you're cooking in smaller jars like this. And since we have a lot, I would then take this and portion it probably into 3, wrap it tightly in plastic wrap and stick it in my freezer, and then it'll hold really nicely, because there's no way we're gonna eat this in a few days, but it'll keep in the fridge for a few days. So then this is a pate that you either cut or spread. And this one came out kind of spreadable, but kind of dry still. So if you like yours a little bit more smooth, you're gonna have to add more bacon or fat, lard, and a little bit more stock from your chicken stock, from your chicken soup. And then we will spread it on our bread like this. And this is a lot of the time this is a breakfast item. We eat it on sandwiches like this for breakfast. And you will know this is delicious because my mouth is watering.
Mine is too.
So I like to just spread it on bread like this, and then put a couple of pickles on it, or some thinly sliced onion like this. And I also like to make mine peppery. My pepper is gone. So I will dress mine with tons of pepper, like this.
Nothing like PASZTET, pickle, and onion to start
your day. Yes.
Yeah, and you go into some nice meetings.
Yeah.
And breathe on people.
This doesn't smell bad.
Oh.
You smell bad. So I can taste the veggies in it, definitely. There's lots of carrots in there. And a little bit of the garlic is coming through. The meat is mild. You can't tell there's liver in it, definitely. Or maybe I can't tell. But this is a delicious party food, or breakfast food, or just something to put on your bread that's different than ham. It's just a little bit more variety. So I hope you try this at home. And if you do, please let me know how it turned out for you. Go to PolishFoodKitchen.com and please subscribe. It helps our channel grow and lets other people from outside your circles know Polish Kitchen and spread the love of everything Poland. We'll see you next time. Do widzenia and smacznego!